Alright guys, welcome finally to my second Transformers Q&A, and I've got about nearly 50 questions, and as always, if I did not answer a question, that probably means YouTube was being a jerk and did not even have it show up on here, either marked it as spam or just didn't even have it on here, so I apologize in advance for that. That was YouTube being a jerk. So let's kick things off, starting off with Mr. Emerald123, whose first question is, what would your reaction have been if Dreadwing joined the Autobots in Transformers Prime? I think it would have been cool. I think it would have been interesting to see that kind of redemption story for Dreadwing. I think it would have been interesting to see that. I mean, it would have been kind of like reminiscent of Starscream's sort of redemption. Well, yeah, pretty much kind of redemption in Transformers Armada. It would have been a lot like that. And I think I would have gone with the whole joining the Autobots, but maybe not. Actually, maybe more along the lines of maybe doing his own thing and being like a anti-hero type character. That's what they were trying to go for at the end of the end of his thing before they just killed him off. But yeah. Right, your second question. If you were a Decepticon, would you have you had a choice of joining Megatron's side or Starscream's side, whose side would you be on? I would be on Megatron's because Starscream's an idiot and doesn't know how to lead an army, whereas Megatron not only knows how to lead an army, but you know better than to backstab him. So, yeah, all hail Megatron. That's all I gotta say. And your third question is, if Unicron and Ultron met, what do you think they would think of each other? I think Unicron would think he's an insect until Ultron took over his mind and then used Unicron as a giant battleship. That's something. Alright. So, next question comes from W. Simmons, who asks, whatever happened to the Minicons? They all left after... they all left after Transformers Armada, or rather, the Transformers Unicron trilogy. Your second question is, what do you think would happen if Eggman and Metal Sonic met Starscream? I think they would take him apart and just to see what makes him tick. Yep. So, thank you for those questions, W. Simmons. Next comes Evan Jarvis, who asks, why haven't you done a video on the trailer for the new Transformers TV show in 2015? I actually saw a trailer, and I was actually considering doing one, but I just completely forgot, really. I really forgot. The thing is that there's a question that someone asked me, and I'm going to bring it up later, so I will be talking more about that later on. But, yeah, I did see it. The bottom line, I just totally forgot to do a trailer on it. And it's kind of been on my to-do list, and yeah. But no, I did see a trailer, but I just forgot to talk about it. The second question is, Transformers meet Hot Wheels Battle Force 5. Okay, first off, kudos for someone finally remembering Battle Force 5. I don't think anyone ever watched that. Nerdcore gets no love. Unless they're doing Monster High or something like that, they get no love. So... I think that would be really cool. I think that would be a really cool thing, especially if the Transformers copying some of the cars from Vert and the others. I think that would be just completely awesome. But yeah, kudos. I would like to see that, really. I think it'd be really cool. Okay, next question. Thank you for those questions, Evan Jarvis. Next comes Green Arrow Hunter, who asks, what's your favorite Transformer death scene? Favorite Transformer death scene? Well, I've got a few, really. You can't go wrong with the death of Optimus Prime. That's a feels right there. The death of Smokescreen in Armada. The death of Starscream in Armada. The death of also Smokescreen in Armada, but he came back. I think another one was Depth Charge's death in Beast Wars, but I think the one that the number one, if I was to pick a number one, it would be the death of Dinobot in Transformers Beast Wars. For those who don't know, Beast Wars was actually my first Transformers show. That was my first Transformers show, and Dinobot really connected with me because I had a thing for dinosaurs. And I thought he was just a really badass character. But it kind of really sucked to see him die, and, that episode still gets me every time. Anyway, thank you for that question. Next one is, with which Power Rangers would you like to see crossover with Transformers, and what story would you do? I think it would be cool to see Lightspeed Rescue. Yeah, Lightspeed Rescue would be cool. You thought I was going to say Turbo. No. No. No, 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 no. 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 Yeah, Lightspeed Rescue would be cool, or... yeah, that would be my first pick, Lightspeed Rescue. I don't really know what the story would be exactly, but I think it would just be really... I think that one really works the most. Next one. What director would you pick for a Transformers movie reboot? I really don't know. Most people would say Abrams or Spielberg or something like that. I really don't know. I think it's, I think it would be cool to have, in a perfect world, the director of, I can't remember the director's name, but he did Elysium, District 9, and now he's doing Chappie. He's done a lot of cool science fiction stuff, and some of it has to do a lot with technology, and I think it would be really cool to tell a very, just spectacular story with, of showing that these robots have emotion, and I think he would be the best one to do that, so... I can't remember the director's name, but that guy, the guy who directed... It wasn't Peter Jackson. The director of... he's doing this new movie called Chappie. He did Elysium, and he was the director of District 9. I think he would be really cool, and some of those effects he uses in those movies would be just phenomenal for the Transformers. Okay, so thank you for those questions, Green Arrow Hunter. Gonna move on now to... hang on, gotta look real quick here. Action Fan 19. And his question is, how on the fence are you on the new Transformers Robots in Disguise cartoon that's coming in 2015? Yeah, you see, this is what I was talking about, that I wanted to give my full thoughts on this question. It's not that I'm on the fence, it's that I don't know if this show has any chance, because one, this isn't going to be on the Discovery Family channel. That was the Hub Network. Apparently, it's going to be on Cartoon Network. Yeah. And it's going to be, And the other thing is that I don't know if it has a chance. I mean, the animation's not bad, but I do understand it's more of a kiddie feel. But yeah, Cartoon Network these days is where action cartoons go to die. Pretty much. That is the bottom line. I mean, remember what I said about Sonic Boom? About it being, I barely even remembered its premiere date until I saw a quick trailer, and I was looking through the TV guide through the DirecTV guide later in the week, and then saw it. Yeah, that was. So I don't. And again, this show is a sequel to a show that was on a different network that some people don't get. Some people didn't get. Remember how well that worked for Xiaolin Chronicles? Actually, no, Xiaolin Chronicles was one big clusterfuck, so It's kind of like that situation with Xiaolin Showdown and its sequel Xiaolin Chronicles being on Disney XD instead of, being somewhere else. But that I can, that because, the original network it was on no longer existed, so that's a whole problem in and of itself. But, yeah. With this, this is probably going to be very early, and, it's going to be a Transformers show that is going to be a sequel to a show that was on a network that some people didn't get. If you're the casual Transformers watcher, you're going to be like, well, why is Bumblebee in charge, and why is Optimus dead? What the hell was Prime? And I get they still want to keep in continuity with that, but, I guess what Hasbro said of having a connected Hasbro universe is out the door after what happened with the Rescue Bots. Because I thought Rescue Bots... Actually, now that I think... I don't know if Rescue Bots is in continuity with Prime anymore. Because Optimus is apparently still alive in a T-Rex. Yeah. So, I do want... Now, having said all that, I am going to watch it. Don't get me wrong. I am going to watch Transformers Robots in Disguise. Because remember when we all thought Transformers Animated was really kiddie, and it had some very kind of adult themes in there? And it was a big step back from everything else, a step away from everything else. And it got a little crazy in the later seasons. But I think it's going to be kind of like that, but I don't know. I mean, again, action cartoon, Cartoon Network these days is where action cartoons go to die. And I mean, Steven Universe can get away with it because, well, they have comedy in it. Anyway, so there you go. Okay, your second question is, if you could scramble and any 5-bot combination team, what limbs would you put on which torso? I think I would I would cross Bruticus with Devastate, the Combaticons and the Constructicons. I don't know, call it Reanimator or something. That would be cool. Maybe have the Constructicons and Combaticons mash up. You mash up with each other or something like that. And your third question is, do you think the Decepticon tidal wave would be more badass if he scanned the helicarrier as an alt mode? Oh yeah, I think that would be really cool. Remember when Transformers did those Star Wars Transformers where they had certain heroes and villains from the Star Wars universe be Transformers? And I think they did that with a few Transformer characters in of themselves. They were trying to, I remember some battle series that was Star Wars versus Transformers. It was kind of like a pseudo Hero Click series. That was if I remember right, it was like Star Wars versus Transformers Hero Clicks or something. I can't remember, but there was also a time when they had those. So I think it would be cool to have maybe, because Marvel and Hasbro have worked together. They have a deal together. So I think it would be cool to have maybe some Transformers that transform into certain vehicles. That'd be really cool. So yeah, I think that a tidal wave helicarrier would be really awesome. Okay, so thank you for that question. Thank you for those questions, ActionFan19. Moving right along to OverNerd03, who asks, can you think of 3 deaths of Optimus Prime that really got to you? Well, of course, the first one, the first death, that's the number one major one. I think another one was, I don't know, because the other ones he came back. And you could argue, he came back at the end of G1, but still, I mean, that death really kind of showed that that was the Transformers movie, the 1985 movie, 1986, excuse me, the 1986 movie was the original Red Wedding of before there was Game of Thrones, there was the Transformers movie, and nearly everyone got killed off. That show, before Eddard Stark got his head cut off, Optimus Prime got gunned down by Megatron, and then, Megatron became Galvatron. Anyway, alright, second question. In a death battle, which Optimus Prime would you use, and who would be Optimus Prime's opponent? Well, I think I would go with G1 Optimus Prime, and his opponent would be... How about another MLP Transformers rematch? How about Optimus Prime versus Celestia? Let's do that. Optimus Prime versus Celestia. That would be... I think that would be a little... I think that would be a little more like, who's gonna... this seems a little more interesting. Because again, we all kind of figured when Starscream showed up and then they had Rainbow Dash, I'm like, I wonder who's going to win this one. Anyway, so there you go. And your third question is, since Transformers Prime is getting a sequel, how long till they get Optimus Prime revived? I'm going to say at best at the end of if this gets if this gets a season 2, because again, like I said, that's where Cartoon Network is where action shows go to die. I would say I would say maybe at the end of season 2 or 3. That's my guess. But anyway, think of those questions, OverNerd03. Next comes Shadow Walker 343, whose first question is, What are your thoughts on the upcoming Okay, I've already answered that. Sorry, Shadow Walker, I've already answered that. Second question: How would you write the human characters in Transformers with real personalities or archetypes? Well, I think we had some real characters in there with especially Transformers Prime. I think those are some of the Miko, Jack, and Raph are some of the the best human characters we've seen in Transformers for a while. Even some of the adult characters like Jack's mom and Agent Fowler, they were all really cool characters. Even Mech was a pretty cool, pretty decent human villain type character. They kind of reminded me from the IDW comics Machination. But anyway, I don't know how I would write them. Maybe, I don't know, really. I really don't know. Alright, your third question is, if Transformers Prime was in the same universe as TMNT, the 2012 TMNT cartoon, what would you think of it? I think that would be really cool. I mean, yeah, that's clearly never going to happen, but I think it would be completely awesome to have the Ninja Turtles and the Transformers hook up. Why hasn't that happened yet in IDW Comics? Come on, you crossover. You're doing a crossover right now with TMNT and Ghostbusters. Why can't you do it? And you're doing one with Transformers and Angry Birds. Come on, Transformers and Ninja Turtles. Come on, Hasbro lets you get away with so much with Transformers. Come on. Anyway. So anyway, there is that. So yeah, I think it would be really cool to answer your question, Shadow Walker. All right, next comes Andrew Varney, and his question is: what are your thoughts on the following crossover ideas? Transformers Doctor Who, Transformers Phineas and Ferb, Transformers Godzilla, and Transformers Pacific Rim. Okay, Transformers Doctor Who. That would be really awesome to see, especially that there's actually a pretty cool Doctor Who crossover I came across with the Cybermen trying to take Cybertronian technology. I thought that was really cool how they did that. I can't remember the name of it. But what I remember is that the Cybermen were trying to steal Cybertronian technology to upgrade themselves, and it kind of involved. They were trying to look for Decepticon tech in particular, but I thought that was really cool. So. Yeah, I think it could work. Transformers and Phineas and Ferb. If only we could get Wheeljack as Phineas and Ferb's guardian. That would be awesome to have Wheeljack work with Phineas and Ferb. And maybe have Hound and Buford, Baljeet with Perceptor. I'm trying to think one for Isabella. Maybe Chromia. Or maybe not RC, maybe Bumblebee. And, yeah. I think that would be really awesome. Just to see, if only to see the smart the intelligent Autobots, Ratchet, Wheeljack, Hoist, and, those three together, watching Phineas and Ferb would be like, why can't we do this? Yeah. Transformers and Godzilla. Completely awesome, and again, I want that to happen in IDW, but I know I know it can never happen because IDW forbid them from. Toho forbid IDW from doing crossovers with Godzilla. So unfortunately, yeah, even though it screams crossover everywhere, we can never get that. Unfortunately, we can never get that. But seeing Godzilla battle Bruticus, Devastator, and all the combinders would be freaking epic. And Transformers Pacific Rim, again, seeing the combinders go head to head with Gypsy Danger, awesome. I can't really think of a story off the bat, but yeah. Anyway, so think of those questions. Nobody's first question is. Okay, your first question is, who would you choose to direct and write a Okay, I've already answered this one, sorry. But like I said, the director from Elysium and soon to do Chappie. And he also did District 9. So, yeah, sorry about that, but I've already answered that question. But I can answer this question. If you could write a Transformers MLP comic crossover for IDW, who would be the villain? Who would be the villain? Okay, I'm going to go deeper into this because I know someone else asked me a question like this deeper into the Q&A. So I'll answer the full. I'll do a full question there because this has been a crossover that's been stewing in my head for a while between MLP and Transformers G1. And I've kind of been like, it's kind of been stewing in my head for a while. So I'll go into full detail about it when I get to that question. But I'm going to answer this because it's just asking who would be the villain. So the villain would be Sombratron. Now, who is Sombratron? It's basically that what happens is that Megatron discovers King Sombra's horn, jams it into himself, and King Sombra takes over Megatron's body, and he becomes Sombratron. Just this transformer of pure dark energy, kind of like a pseudo Galvatron type character, kind of like that. So that would be the villain, combination of Megatron and King Sombra. Anyways, thank you for that question. So moving right along to Burnouter7, who asks, what would happen if the Transformers existed in the Mass Effect universe, the Halo universe, and the Gundam universe? It would be completely awesome to see them in the Mass Effect universe fighting Reapers along Commander Shepard, and copying some of the some of the data right there. There's actually a really good Transformers Mass Effect crossover called the Prime Effect. I know, duh title, kind of meh title, but it is a really good story. It is a really good Transformers Mass Effect story. For Halo, that would be completely awesome to see, the Autobots and Decepticons, the Autobots allying themselves with the humans, while the Decepticons are fighting a two-pronged war with the humans, the Autobots, and the Covenant, because I really doubt Megatron and the others would be, I think the Decepticons would have their own agenda away from the Covenant, and they would want nothing to do with them. As for Gundam, completely awesome. I don't know how exactly it could work, though. Alright, your second question is, what did you think of the death battle between Rainbow Dash and Starscream? Okay, what did I think of the death battle between Rainbow Dash and Starscream? I liked it. I think it's one of the best because of just how ridiculous it is. I think it's pretty funny, and how they kind of made G4 Rainbow Dash just so superior to G1 Starscream. And the sad fact is, guys, come on guys, Starscream's an idiot. Come on, as much as I love Starscream, G1 Starscream is in no way a fighter. So yeah, I don't know if Rainbow Dash could beat him in a fight, mind you, but come on, he's not a fighter. He's a liar. Anyway, so your third question is, what would happen in a Transformers Attack on Titan crossover? Maybe have it that the Transformers have been underground for so long, humans accidentally awaken them, and they're caught in a world where they're kind of woken up too early. Instead of being woken up in the 80s, they're woken up in this weird time period, and they're thought to be Titans at first, but nope, the humans ally themselves with the Autobots, fighting Titans together, while the Decepticons are kind of like they're fighting Titans and humans and Autobots, and trying to find a way to, even having the Decepticons take over. You could have it that they could mind control Titans and have them work for them. I don't know. Maybe that's all I got. Just thinking about a question, Burnouter. Next question. Excuse me. Thank you for this question, Burnouter. Next set of questions come from Alistair Boneman. First question is, did you watch Transformers Animated, and what did you think of it? Here's the thing. I like Transformers Animated. It's not one of my favorite Transformers cartoons, but I did appreciate what they did, and I thought some of the stories were pretty good. Having said that, though, I do think at some points they kind of went a little off the rails. I think they went off the rails a little too much at some points. With Sari being like a Cybertronian Sailor Moon. Let's face it, that's what she was. And a few other things. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Alright, your second question is, what did you think of the Transformers? What do you think the Transformers would make of Kaiju Could you see a crossover happening? Again, I think it would be cool to see them fight kaiju. I don't know the exact story, but I think it would be really cool to see them fight some kind of kaiju. I don't know what ones you're talking about. You're talking about the kaiju from Pacific Rim, or the kaiju from Godzilla, kaiju from Gamera. I don't know. Okay, your final question is, who is your favorite hero, villain, and sidekick? I guess human sidekick. So, favorite hero, I've got a few on the hero side. Optimus Prime, Grimlock. Grimlock being number one because Grimlock King. Can't go wrong with Optimus Prime, Ironhide, Hound, Wheeljack, Prowl, Mirage. Those are a few. As for villains, Megatron, Shockwave, Starscream, not in any order, mind you, but yeah, Megatron, Shockwave, Starscream, Soundwave, Unicron, the Quintessons. I think I just made a rhyme right there. So there's a few right there for villains. And, for some Predacons, Beast Wars Megatron, and Tarantulas, as well as Rampage. So anyway, human sidekicks, all the human characters from Transformers Prime get number one. As for number two, as for other human characters, some of the humans from Transformers Armada weren't annoying. Alexis was pretty cool. So, yeah, there you go. Think of those questions, Alistair. Next comes the Spawn 117, who asks, have you heard of the Transformers comic Transformers Shattered Glass? Yep, I've heard of it. It's pretty much Transformers Earth 2. Having said that, though, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool comic. All right. Your next question is: have you read these fanfics? Attack on Prime, TF Prime Shattered Glass, Lantern Prime, and Transformers Prime: The Last Airbender. Okay, in order. Haven't read. I think I've read Attack on Prime. I think I have. Could be wrong. Transformers Prime Shattered Glass. Have not read it. Lantern Prime or Transformers Prime: The Last Airbender. Have not read those. Have not read those either. So I might have to check them out when I'm done with this Q&A. So thank you for the heads up, Spawn. Next question is: what do you think of Transformers Godzilla, Transformers Attack on Titan, and Transformers Ruby? Okay, I've already answered. Transformers and Godzilla, Transformers Attack on Titan, and I still have not watched Ruby. It's on my to-do list. I know, it's on my to-do list. So, yeah, sorry, Spawn, on that one, but I've already answered those questions. And I haven't watched Ruby, so yeah. Anyway, so Cody Bradish, again, I'm really sorry, Cody, for messing up your name. And also, I'm glad you enjoyed my review of your Godzilla MLP crossover. So, this is the question I was talking about. Alright, Cody's first question is, would you want to see an official Transformers Prime MLP crossover, keeping it in the Hasbro family, in comic book form, done by IDW? Absolutely, and here's the story I was talking about. Basically what I would do is that I would have that Megatron is attempting to make a stronger space bridge that could help open up, that could actually reach further into cheapen the use of Energon, but also help them get to Cybertron quicker, while also keeping their Energon reserves at a higher level. So, but however, they make it Starscream's tampering makes it a little too strong, and instead they end up in another universe, basically Equestria. Meanwhile, the Autobots are also not too keen on Optimus having another space bridge, Megatron having another space bridge, so they follow the Decepticons in there, find themselves in Equestria, where, Megatron and the other Decepticons are more or less, they're in the far north, where Megatron discovers, after getting, visions in his head, finally discovers the Horn of Sombra, jabs it, more or less, Sombra takes over, influence over Megatron, then possesses Megatron and becomes Sombratron. And then Sombratron wants to have this big, overarching, story of more or less what he wants to do is steal the mirror that was used in Equestria Girls and use it to infect the entire multiverse, shroud the entire multiverse in darkness. And I just had this beautiful idea of having Sombratron, like, when he's reaching out with the darkness, you see all these other panels of all these different MLP and Transformers universes. You see the animated universe in one panel, you see the Equestria Girls universe in another panel, you see the Beast Wars universe in another panel, and then you see, like, G3 MLP in another panel. Like, you see them in different panels, and then at the end of the story, what it would be is that Twilight makes a, emergency call to everyone throughout the multiverse, and more or less begs for their help, because Sombratron has become like this giant, like, he's kind of like the Anti-Monitor now. They've become like this, like, Anti-Monitor-like character getting ready to destroy everything. So what happens is that she more or less begs everyone to just unite for once. You may be, fighting over your respective worlds, but if, Sombratron does what he does, there won't be any worlds left to fight over. Sorry about that. Anyway, like I was saying, so yeah, Twilight sends a message to everyone throughout the multiverse, and pretty much corrals all the heroes and villains of the respective multiverses to unite. And they all, like, everyone just comes together from every multiverse to fight Sombratron. And I definitely have, like, maybe a 2-page spread of a parody cover of Crisis on Infinite Earths. If you guys know what I'm talking about, like the final issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths, where you see the Anti-Monitor and you see every single hero and villain from the DC universe team up to fight the Anti-Monitor. So, yeah, I would have that kind of cut as a 2-page spread, like a parody scene of it, with a Sombratron, just this huge Anti-Monitor-like character, like 40 feet tall, and you see all, like, you see everyone from all these different universes united, like the Sirens and the Equestria Girls together, fighting together. You see the Maximals and Predacons fighting together. You see, like, all these different aspects from different realities just come together to fight Sombratron in the end. So yeah, something like that. And your second question is, do you feel Transformers Prime ended too soon? Yes, I do. Not only that, I feel it ended on a, let's face it, as much as cool as, Season 3 was, Beast Hunters was, it just felt like everything was just rushed. Even at the end, the final movie, everything was just rushed at the end. We didn't get to find out about what happened to the human characters, and yeah, Predacons Rising. It was just like, oh, let's just finish all these quick loose ends, just completely rush through them. Yeah. So I feel like it ended not only too soon, it ended a little too quick. And your third question is, what would you like to hear Stan Bush's The Touch played in any new Transformers show or any other related media? I think it would be cool to see it, like, it was really, like, I geeked out when The Touch played in the 100th episode of regular show. I geeked out so freaking hard when The Touch started playing. So I think it would be cool to have, like, The Touch show up in an episode of Gravity Falls. Just saying. I'm just saying, that can make it possible. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Cody. Next comes Jerkwater100, who asks, what will happen if Optimus Prime becomes a Green Lantern and Megatron becomes a Red Lantern? That's what we could have gotten in the new the Transformers the Transformers DC Universe crossover. Sadly, we didn't get that, and people saying, well, why did Optimus become a Lantern? That's stupid. To which I reply with, Mogo is a planet. Yeah. Second question. Do you think the Doctor will stop the war between the Autobots and Decepticons if he got the chance? No. Sadly, that war's going to keep going till one side wins. It's just going to keep going on and on and on. And your third question is, who is your favorite voice actor for Megatron outside of Frank Welker? David Kaye was really good from all the way to from Megatron, from Beast Wars, all the way to Energon. I think Energon was his last time playing, David Kaye's last time playing Megatron. And then he went on to play Optimus Prime in animated. I also thought Corey Burton's Megatron was really cool in animated, by the way. And, yeah, but I think David Kaye's, like, probably my second favorite voice actor. He just gives him this, instead of, like, a dark, kind of calculating tone, he gives him, like, this suave, kind of, like, James Bondian-type villain voice. I think that's pretty cool. Alright. So thank you for those questions, Jerkwater100. Moving on to Matt Kaiser08. And your question is, if the TMNT, Splinter, Casey, April, and Karai were paired with Autobot Guardians, which Autobot would you pair them with and why? Okay, for the TMNT. I don't know about Splinter. I think Splinter and Optimus would be enough, but let's talk about the others. Okay, I think I would put Mikey with... Sunstreaker, because those two would just have a ton of fun together. I think Leo with Prowl. Yeah, Leo with Prowl. Raphael with Ironhide, and Donnie with Wheeljack. As for Casey, I'm gonna say maybe Brawn, and for April, Mirage, and RC with Karai. There you go. And your second question is, I've already answered this one. Godzilla Transformers crossover. I kind of already talked about this one, so I'm going to skip it. And your third question is, would you agree that Gigan is somewhat similar to Starscream due to their cheap tactics in battle? Well, I wouldn't say that they're kind of the same. Gigan is just... I wouldn't say he's cheap, because he's never really won a fight, really, except Anguirus and Godzilla vs. Gigan, but I wouldn't say he's a cheap character. If you want to talk about cheap characters in Godzilla universe, try fighting Megalon in any of the Godzilla fighting games. Megalon is a cheap-ass character. Always tunneling underground, you can't hit him, and then he comes up, grabs you, and then does the spin attack. If anyone's ever played those video games, you know what I'm talking about, guys. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Matt Kaiser. Moving right along to Travis Rendon, who asks, out of Shockwave or Soundwave, which do you think would lead the Decepticons better if Megatron was gone for good? Shockwave. Soundwave is more of a follower than a leader, and Shockwave has proven that he can lead the Decepticons in Megatron's absence. And your third question is, if you were an Autobot subgroup, would you be a part of the Wreckers or the Dinobots? Dinobots, no question. Dinobots. All right. And your next question is, how would you make the Dinobots in Transformers 4 feel more like a whole movie? Okay, let me try rereading this again. How would you make the Dinobots in Transformers 4 better, like the whole movie could suck, but at least you could say the Dinobots were badass at least? That's the thing, the Dinobots weren't even badass. They were just there to be shown and sell toys. I mean, yeah, that's what Transformers is on a whole, to sell toys. But, yeah. Yeah, that's not, that's, again, they didn't even say they were, the Dinobots. They were just there, They didn't even call them... I don't even think they called them Grimlock. And then we had two others, Strafe and Slash. Who the are those people? Anyway. So yeah. I don't know. Maybe Dinobot solo movie? That could work. So thank you for those questions, Travis. Next comes Darth Venom, who asks, do you think Optimus Prime would have survived his final battle with Megatron had Hot Rod not interfered with their fight? Possibly. I think, yeah, he could have survived the fight. Hell, he could have finally managed to kill Megatron, and Ratchet and Perceptor could have healed his wounds. I think that could have been it. And second question is, what would Unicron think of Galactus? I think he would think that he's too kind of a divine being that has the power to just completely destroy all life on the planet. If just like that. Anyway, bottom line, they would not get along. And your third question is, what are your thoughts on the following crossovers? Transformers Star Wars, Transformers Power Rangers, Transformers TMNT, and Transformers Dragon Ball Z. Well, I've already answered the Power Rangers and TMNT one, so Star Wars. I think it would be really cool to see especially seeing Transformers have alt modes similar to like TIE Fighters or X-Wings. That would be awesome. Just to see that would be enough. And Transformers Dragon Ball Z. The thing is that I think the Dragon Ball Z characters would be doing all the work while the Autobots are just like, wow, they're powerful. Alright? Next question. So think of those questions. Darth Venom. Next set of questions come from MB Free, who asks, as I'm sure you're aware, there was going to be a Justice League Transformers crossover. My question is, what heroes and Autobots would you like to see team up and fight which villain? Yeah, as for those who don't know, there was going to be a Transformers Justice League crossover, but thanks to the New 52, that was shit-canned. So, I think it would be cool to see Mirage and Batman team up, Optimus and Superman team up. I think that would be awesome. Wonder Woman with, Elita 1, that would be fantastic. Stuff like that. Anyway, second question. Out of all the Transformer crossovers, which one is your favorite? Out of all the comic book Transformers crossovers, I think I would have to say my favorite is I'd have to say my favorite is the first G.I. Joe Transformers crossover, the G.I. Joes versus the Transformers. I know it was totally an alternate universe, but they handled it with a lot of respect for both of them. I mean, I've never read the second comic with Shockwave as the villain and there was time travel involved, but I have read the third one that had Serpentor, a version of Serpentor that was like the son of Megatron, and it was weird, and it was stupid, by the way. But no, I think the very first one from Devil's Due Publishing was really awesome. I really liked the Transformers, the Transformers versus G.I. Joe comic from there. Really enjoyed it. And your third question is, have you seen the Transformers Angry Birds crossover? Actually, I have. I have seen the Transformers Angry Birds crossover. I'm not interested in reading it though because I'm not. This is going to be a shocker, but I'm not a fan of Angry Birds. Yeah, not a big fan of the Angry Birds. So, yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'll read it, but I don't think I'll buy it. I think I'll skim through it if I find it in trade. But I don't think I'll buy it because I'm not. I know I'm the crossover guy, but I was like, Oh, here's the main thing. I'm like, oh, sure, we can get Transformers to crossover with the Angry Birds. But when we all want MLP or the Transformers to meet the TMNT, we're left like high and dry there. That's what really pisses me off is that this got okayed first. This got okayed before anything else. Wonderful. Anyway, and your final question is... Oh yeah, that was your final question. Think of those questions, MB Free. Next comes Grimlock 1992, whose first question is, what are your thoughts if they announced a Doctor Who Transformers crossover? And, okay, I'm going to answer this one as to which Doctor and series of Transformers would you like to be in it. I think I would pick, maybe G1 and... G1 and Sylvester McCoy. Yeah, let's do that. Or actually, better yet, how about G1 and Patrick Troughton in the second Doctor, and have the Cybermen as the main villains, because the Cybermen, he fought them the most. Alright. Your second question is, have you read the fanfic of Dawn of the Dinobots on fanfiction.net? I actually have read it. It's really good. It finished with some really cool stuff in there, and I thought the Dinobots were handled really well in there. So I really enjoyed it. Alright. Okay, who would win in a fight? Transformers Prime Predaking or Grimlock from the Cybertron games? Wow. Grimlock versus Prime Predaking. That's a tough one. Well, actually, we did have a fight in the Transformers Avatar crossovers. Me and Jason Voorhees 2011 did. But we did that together, and we've been writing that, and he actually wrote a fight between Grimlock and Prime Predaking in the end of the first story, Transformers: The Avatar Chronicles. And yeah, that was a pretty brutal fight, and I won't say who won that fight, but it was pretty brutal. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for that. Next set of questions come from Georgios Valerius. Hope I'm saying that finally because you spelt it out. Georgios. Anyway, so his first question is, what do you think of the return? What do you think of the return of Beast Wars? Personally, I like it. I would like it either Beast Wars resumed with modern animation over it, or a sequel series to Prime that follows the Maximals and Predacons. It would be cool to see Beast Wars again. I don't know where you could stick it. Maybe you could have it that before there were Autobots and Decepticons, you could say that, since Predacons existed long before the Cybertronians, you could say maybe Maximals and Predacons were the were really in this universe were the ancestors to the Autobots and Decepticons. Maybe they'll do that. Okay, second question. What do you think of Beast Machines? Also, do you think you could do a video with Blows Himself Up Dude on it? Okay, let me answer the thing about Blows Himself Up Dude. Just because I'm here doesn't exactly mean I know everyone else on YouTube. Like, I may know, I'm friends with Dan, with Tori GNR1 and Dukaloops. I've never actually got to hang out with Blows Himself Up Dude. I'd like to, but we've never really met yet. I mean, I'm subscribed to him. I think he's pretty cool, but we've never really met, nor are we friends. So I don't know if we'll ever, team up in a video. Period. Really. So yeah. Sorry to burst your bubble, sir, but yeah, me and Blows Himself Up Dude and I have never met in a Skype call or something like that. Never. And but who knows? Who knows what the future holds? Is all I'm going to say. Who knows what the future holds? And what do I think of Beast Machines? It's not great. It's not great at all. All right. And your third question is: if you could cross over Transformers to any property, what would it be? Given a rough outline of what the story would be. I think what I would do is, Transformers MLP, and I've already talked about it. That's the one I really want to see the most, IDW. Think of those questions. Next comes Wolfman the Impaler, who asks, what's more of a hilarious image? Starscream, Skywarp, and Thundercracker singing the Seeker version of Apples to the Core from MLP, Shockwave screaming like a bitch while after playing Slender or Five Nights at Freddy's, or Megatron and drunk calling Jack Darby at 3 a.m. just to talk. Those would all be funny, but I think Shockwave would just be playing Five Nights at Freddy's and just be like, this is illogical. And I think, I could just see it now, Skywarp, Starscream, and Thundercracker all just flying together and be like, we're Seekers to the core. We're Seekers forever. Seekers together. Yeah. Actually, I kind of want that now. Can we make that a parody? Yeah, I want that now. Anyway. Third question. Your second question is, if you were to assemble a team of superheroes consisting of human characters, who would be on the team and what powers would you give them, and what role would each of them play on the team? I guess it's I guess human characters, so I just have, the human characters from Prime and some of the human characters from Armada. Yeah, just that. I don't know what powers I would give them, though, sadly. And your third question is, have you read the Transformers Prime MLP crossover on DeviantArt called Friendship is Prime? I've never read it, but I'm going to go check it out now because that sounds really cool. Same with those questions, Wolfman the Impaler. Next comes Christian Sager, who asks, what would Unicron and Primus think of the demigods and the Chakavarathan from Asura's Wrath? I think they would be like, puny little gods. We created life and destroyed life. Let's get back to killing each other. Alright. How would you incorporate the Beast? Basically Devastator, but made of Dinobots and full-on murder happy, into Transformers Prime, Transformers Animated, or the Michael Bay movies. I don't know exactly how I could incorporate the combination move of all the Dinobots together. I don't even know how that'd even work. Anyway. So I'm sorry, I just can't think of anything right there. So, third question is, Metal Gear's Rex, Ray, Gecko, Tripods, etc. from Metal Gear Solids become Transformers. What happens and whose side would certain Metal Gears be on, and what personalities would they have? Again, I'm not the biggest player of Metal Gear, so I don't know if I can answer this. They would all be Decepticons, I can tell you that. They'd all be Decepticons, I can say that much. But yeah. Sorry, I don't know how to answer that one. So thank you for those questions, Christian Sager. Next goes the Gangster Shy Guy. The Gangster Shy Guy asks, what is your personal favorite? Shockwave, Megatron, or Soundwave? I like them all, really. I like all of them. They're all really awesome in their own ways. They're all really awesome in their own ways, so I pick all. In your personal opinion, who would win, Shockwave or Megatron? Shockwave is a little more logical, and he's clearly stronger than, most Decepticons. While Megatron is pretty powerful, but he is very arrogant. So I'd have to say, in a one-on-one fight, maybe Shockwave could actually take it. Yeah. Marginally. And third question is, my last question is, how would you direct a movie on Transformers Prime? I would look at Predacons Rising and be like, okay, look at this, and look where it doing some improvements, you know what I mean? Definitely improve on some of the stuff that they clearly messed up on. I mean, I could go on and on. It's not a bad movie, let me say that. Predacons Rising is not a bad movie, but I feel like they just rushed too far to do everything all at once, you know what I mean? Anyways, thank you for those questions. Next comes King Nazaru, and he asks, which Decepticon would you want to squish Frank Miller? Soundwave. Just because, or better yet, Lugnut from Transformers Animated. He could step on him. Second question is, would you date Prime RC? If I was a Cybertronian, I would definitely plug myself into that exhaust port. You can't get that image out of your head now. You're welcome. And your final question is, what would Lee and Clementine think of the Transformers? Basically, Lee and Clementine from the Walking Dead video games. I think they'd be scared out of their minds. I mean, they're already fighting zombies, and now they've run into giant talking robots. Yeah. Anyway. Alright. So next set of questions come from Malingar. And Malingar asks, if the TARDIS became a Transformers in the Bayformers movie style, what would the robot be form like physically and personality? Would it be the bigger on the inside factor in it? And what would the doctors think of it? Oh, the doctors would be pissed off that their ride, basically their home, is now a robot. And knowing if it's a Bayformers movie, it would be like this British stereotype, like, pip pip cheerio, time for tea and crumpets, lads. And also, it'd just be like pulling out weapons, like, it just has this endless amount of weapons and swords and guns inside of it. Crazy shit like that, but yeah. Second question is, what do you think of the spiritualistic aspect to Beast Machines that followed? I don't know, like, there's always been spirit stuff, spiritual stuff in Transformers, but they went really overboard with it in Beast Machines. They just went way out the door with Beast Machines, especially that ending that just went completely off the rails. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about that, is that it went completely off the rails in that one. And your third question is, from the Beast Wars cast, who would you match partners with the cast of Trigun, including the main four, Knives, and your pick for the Gung Ho Guns? I don't know who I would pick for the Gung Ho Guns, but I think I would put Cheetor with Vash, and Primal with Wolfwood. Yeah. I don't know who else I could pick with the others, though, sadly. I really don't know who else I could pick with the others. Excuse me. Thank you for those questions, Malingar. Next set of questions come from James Ginty. Hope I'm saying that last name right. What do you think of Cyclonus, Bombshell, or Skywarp? To me, Bombshell is the most straightforward interpretation, as he's shown more prominently in the show. What do you think? I think they're all pretty awesome in their own right. Cyclonus, Bombshell, and Skywarp. Skywarp was a little more aggressive than the others, but I think Cyclonus was just pretty much fanatic. Bombshell was a very manipulative, deadly little Insecticon. Alright. Next question. What do you think of the Nemesis in Flying Mind? Also, Bob Ski, who wrote in the episode, said in the interview that it wasn't Trypticon who awoke in that episode. I really like Flying Mind, of having the Nemesis be like, well, I'm taking over now. I'm going to be all Skynet here and just wipe out everybody. Yeah. And your third question is, what do you think in the Transformers 1986 Transformers okay, what do you think that in the Transformers 1986 movies they kill off your favorite characters in violent ways and replace them with newbies who we've never seen before? It's a little stab in the chest to see some of your favorite characters, but again, 1986 movie was literally before there was the Red Wedding, there was the 1986 Transformers movie, and yeah, some of your favorite characters get gunned down horribly. But yeah, I think we kind of grew on these other characters, at least I did. I mean, they couldn't really replace the originals, but they tried their best. And again, at the end of the day, it's to sell toys, and that's really, what can you do on that? Alright, Linerman0245 asks, how messed up would it be if the crossed virus found its way into the Transformers universe? I don't know if the crossed virus could actually infect the Transformers, but if it could, that would be messed up. I can't even begin to think on that. And your second question is, how would you feel if Optimus Prime fused with Gypsy Danger? Gypsy Prime. That would be completely awesome. I'd hate to see any kaiju run into that thing. That's for sure. Man, I can't even, that would be amazing. Anyway. Next questions come from Trevor Smolka, who asks... first question, with the Transformers being popular now, and despite the horrible Michael Bay films, I'm just wondering, what is your favorite Transformers animated series? I have a few. G1, Prime, Beast Wars, and Armada. Those are my favorite Transformers shows. And for video games, yeah, the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron games are amazing. And your second question is, if there was a crossover with Dragon Ball Z, Attack on Titan, Transformers, mostly Beast Wars and Beast Machines, who would win that fight and team up with for the Titans and Frieza and Megatron? Just wondering. I kind of answered this, and kind of already answered this already with the Dragon Ball Z and Attack on Titan thing already. I kind of already answered that, so yeah. Third question, with Transformers Prime over and possibly the sequel series coming out next year, I'm wondering, what is your expectations for the newest Transformers anime? I've already answered this already, unfortunately. I've already given my thoughts on it earlier in the Q&A, so yeah, I've already answered. I'm optimistic, but again, it's on Cartoon Network, and it's probably not going to be treated with a lot of respect. All right. Next questions come from Fire Tools, and Fire Tools asks, what would you think of a crossover between Transformers Animated Prime and Prime Animated and Claymore, working out on a fanfic with this? I think it would be really awesome to see the Prime universe and animated, because when you think about it, the Prime lineup is kind of like the animated lineup, except Prowl is a girl in this one. Yeah. But I think it would be really interesting. I think that would be interesting. I don't know how it would work, but yeah. Alright. Second question. Would you like to see other mythological creatures aside from dragons as alt mode? What, and if so, what would they be? Well, we got a griffin from one of the Predacons. Chimera would be really awesome. Yeah, Chimera would be completely awesome. The Hydra. A few other Greek... The Nemean Lion. Maybe, a few of those. And your third question is, what would Team Prime reaction? What would be the Team Prime's reaction be to sitting down and watching these animes? Black Lagoon, Gurren Lagann, Elfen Lied, and Panty and Stocking. Okay, if they all watched Black Lagoon they would be like, wow, this guy has a lot of kick-ass action. I really like this. Gurren Lagann would be completely insane. I think only Bumblebee and Bulkhead would like it. Elfen Lied, no one would want to watch it because it's so gory. They'd be like, I'm disturbed now. You humans are strange. And Panty and Stocking, again, I think only Bulkhead and Bumblebee would like it, while Ratchet would look at it and be like, this is garbage. Alright. Thank you for those questions, Fire Tools. Next comes Marquise Rogers, who asks, my first question is, how did you get into Transformers? Was it through comics or TV shows? It was through Beast Wars. Yeah, it was from the TV show. Like I said earlier, my first Transformers show was Beast Wars, and from there it kind of grew onward from that point. Yeah, that's where it really started from then on. And yeah, so it was Transformers Beast Wars. Second question, how did you like the Transformers 4 movie? I didn't like it at all, dude. I fucking hated that movie. That was the one movie that literally I walked out of, that this year. I've watched a lot of good, like every movie I've walked out of this year, they've either ranged from okay to awesome. Transformers 4 Age of Extinction, on the other hand, was the one movie where I walked out of there going, I felt my soul get crushed in there. Because really, that thing was terrible. That was terrible. Anyway. And your third question, if you like it, Marquise, let me say this. If you like the movie, if you like Transformers 4, that's totally fine. No ill will against you. You know, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I personally did not like it. Me personally, I just did not like it. But if you liked it, once again, that's totally fine. I'm not gonna bash you for it. I think everyone should just love what they love. You know what I mean? So if you didn't like it, if you liked it, that's totally fine. No ill will against you. Me personally, I did not care for it at all. Anyway, so your third question is, what is your favorite? Who was your favorite in Beast Wars? I think my favorites were Death Charge and Dinobot, and also Rat Trap. Oh yeah, and Tigertron and Air Razor were my favorites, and Rhinox. Those were Maximals. For Predacons, Inferno, Quick Strike, Beast Wars Megatron, Waspinator. You can't go wrong with Waspinator. Inferno, Tarantulas, Scorponok, Pterosaur. A few guys like that. So thank you for those questions, Marquise. Next set of questions coming from... Next set of questions come from Major Badass. And Major Badass asks, besides the obvious TARDIS, DeLorean, and Millennium Falcon, what nerdy vehicles, devices would you like to see as Transformers? What other vehicles would I like to see, nerdy vehicles I'd like to see become Transformers? The Batmobile. Yeah, the Batmobile, Wonder Woman's invisible jet. What else? Knight Rider. Yeah, Kit. Yeah, Kit would be an awesome Transformer. Michael, I can now kick ass without your help. Yeah. So a few of those. Kit being number one. Anyway. So your second question is, what weird and not commonly known animals or mythological creatures would you want, like, beast versions of? Kind of already answered this already, Major Badass. Unfortunately, I kind of already answered this already. Like I said, Chimera, Nemean Lion, Hydra, a few of those. And your third question is, what would be your top thing you would like to cross over into Transformers? Like I said earlier, MLP with TMNT at number 2, and I guess for a third spot, Transformers and Stormhawks. There you go. Alright. Next set of questions come from Robert Larson, who asks, who is your favorite Stunticon and your favorite female Transformer? Alright, my favorite Stunticon has got to be The Motormaster. Oh yeah, time for the Motormaster. And my favorite female Transformer has got to be... can't go wrong with RC. Yeah, you just can't go wrong with RC. And your second question is, what do you think of the fan concept Sparklings, aka Transformer babies? Are they stupid or are they good ideas? I think they're good ideas when people use them properly, instead of just using the Sparklings as Deus Ex Machina bullshit, and trying to say that, oh, Transformers can have them, Cybertronians can have Sparklings and stuff like that. I don't know. It just feels like it's a double-edged sword, because it can some fan fiction it works, other times it's just like, that's not great. Alright. Next question comes from, have you read the fanfic The Most Silent of Screams by No/Screamer? And if so, would you what do you think of it? I'm going to have to check it out. I have not read it. I mean, it's obviously going to be a Starscream fanfic, so I might have to check it out. So thank you for alerting me of it. So think of those questions. Next set of questions come from Jason Voorhees 2011, who asks, what is your favorite sub-team of Transformers besides any combiners, the Dinobots, the Wreckers, the DJD, etc.? Gotta go with the Wreckers, always go with the Wreckers. Decepticon Justice Division is also pretty awesome. Trying to think of other teams outside of combiners. Can't go wrong with can't go wrong with the Wreckers or the DJD or the Insecticons. You could consider them a team. Anyway, next question: who would you like to see direct Transformers 5, and should they replace Michael Bay, like the rumors are saying? Like I've said before, I've already answered this question for either a reboot or sequel. The director of Elysium and District 9, and soon Chappie. That's my guy. That's who I would pick. Alright, and your third question, if you could cast anyone to voice a new interpretation of Shockwave in a new animated series or movie, who would you pick and why? Okay, who would I pick to play Shockwave in a new voice for Shockwave? Who would I pick for a new Shockwave? That is an interesting question. That's a good one. This is tough. I think I would pick James Spader would be cool. I mean, his Ultron voice, you could easily make it a Shockwave voice. James Spader's voice would make a great Shockwave voice. I don't want to say Cumberbatch because that's too obvious. I really don't want to say Cumberbatch because I'm trying not to say him, so I want to pick someone else outside of Cumberbatch. Maybe James Remar, the guy who's playing Tonraq in Legend of Korra right now. David Kaye. He's been in Transformers, but he's never been Shockwave, so I think it would be cool to see him finally play Shockwave. I think he could pull off a really cool, devastating, kind of cold, sinister voice. Anyway. So, there you go. Thank you for those questions, Jason Voorhees. Next comes Autobot Roadbuster, who asks, what is your favorite continuity? G1, Unicron Trilogy, Prime, etc. I've already kind of answered this. My favorite ones are G1, Unicron, Armada, Beast Wars. I think my favorite continuity right now is Prime. Prime and G1 are the best, I think, are the coolest continuities. Your second question is, have you heard of or played Rise of Darkspark video games? I have not played The Rise of Darkspark. I have not played that video game, but from what I understand, I'm not missing much. Yeah, I'm not really missing much on that game. Alright. If the Ironhide Swarm from G1, Transformers Animated, WFC, Movieverse, and Energon were all in the same room, what do you think they would think of each other? I think G1 would just be like, oh, look at you bunch of rust buckets, you couldn't even compare to me. That's a terrible voice. I am really sorry. You can obviously tell my voice is going out because I've been doing this Q&A has been running for over an hour or so, a little over an hour. So, yeah, I think they would all just be like, I think they'd all just make all these really jerk comments to one another at the end of the day. So think of those questions, Roadbuster. Next comes Andre Partridge, who asks, out of all the human characters from any Transformers series so far, which one is your favorite? I've said it once, say it again. The Prime Humans. I think the Prime Humans had a lot of character to them. A lot of character to them. Second question, how would Ben Tennyson, Rex Salazar, Zack Saturday, Finn and Jake, the Wattersons, Mordecai and Rigby, and the Crystal Gems react to the Autobots and Transformers Prime? I think Ben 10 would be like, I wonder if I can become alien. I wonder if I can become you guys and try to take their Cybertronian DNA and make it into himself. For Rex, yeah, Rex would try to use his Evo technology to boost with them. Finn and Jake, Finn and Jake would just think it's the greatest thing ever. I think they would think they're the greatest thing ever. The Wattersons, yeah, let's face it, Gumball and Darwin would just have a blast with it. They would just have a total blast with with them. And meanwhile, everyone else would just be freaked out by them. And Mordecai and Rigby. Rigby would just be arguing with all the Transformers, especially him and Ironhide would do nothing but argue. Yeah, and the Crystal Gems, that would be really cool. That's another crossover I'd like to see, of seeing the Crystal Gems and the Transformers hang out. That would be really awesome. But anyway, your next question is, what will happen if the Autobots were accidentally warped into the Terminator universe from a space-time anomaly? That would be incredible, because I'd love to see... I wonder what Skynet would do if it got its hands on Cybertronian technology. That would be completely devastating. Alright, next set of questions come from Victor De Silva, who asks, assuming you've played Sly Cooper, sadly I have not, Victor. I have not played the Sly Cooper games. I've never played any of the Sly Cooper games. Yeah, sorry. So I'm going to have to unfortunately skip that. Hopefully I can answer the other questions. If the Transformers were made 100 years into the future, do you think the advanced technology would give them life in the real world? And if so, what would it be? Awesome or madness? Bit of column A, bit of column B, De Silva. Bit of both, really. Really a bit of both when you think about it. Yeah, so that's I don't know how exactly it would go, but if so the Transformers got their home, were in 100 years in the future, they'd still be like, man, this is the year 3030 in your planet, 3033 in your world, but it's still light years behind us on Cybertron. And your final question is, last one. Since Attack on Titan is getting a Marvel crossover being official, do you think Hasbro could do the same thing and make a crossover event with toys? Okay, let me try to say this again. Being official, do you think Hasbro could do the same thing and make crossover promotional events with toys of the Autobots and Decepticons in Titan forms? Huh. So basically what he's asking is, what if Hasbro, kind of like what they did with the Star Wars and Marvel toys, yeah, they did this Marvel too, but what if Hasbro made Transformers out of Titans? That would be pretty awesome. I would really like to see, Transformer version of Armored Titan. That's the one I'd like. I'd like to get a toy of that. Transformer Armored Titan? Yeah. Anyway, thank you for those questions. Moving on to James Fan 1991, who asks, in the last Transformers Q&A, I asked you about Galvatron and Transformers Prime. Which other Autobots and Decepticons did you wish were in the Prime series? You just wanted to see Jazz and Ironhide. Yeah, I wanted to see Jazz and Ironhide as well. A few others I would have really liked to have seen in there are, the likes of, Mirage, Inferno, not the Predacon, the Autobot Inferno, Perceptor. So, yeah, a few of those guys would have been nice. Anyway, let's move on now to, what did you think of a Transformers Sonic the Hedgehog crossover? I'm currently working on one in a series based on that idea. Again, really awesome, but here's the thing. If you're working on it, dude, you've got to have a race between Sonic and Blur. That's a must. Sonic and Blur have got to have a race. That's like Yeah, that's one of the things you have to. You cannot do this crossover without having Sonic and Blur having a race. And I think that'd be really cool. I'm really interested to see what you got there. So, yeah. Anyway, third question. Starscream is my favorite character in the universe. Do you see him making a good leader of the Decepticons? As much as I love Starscream as well, he is in no way, shape, or form a good leader. Hell, he can't even lead himself. Remember in Prime when he had all those clones? Yeah, did not work out. Anyway, so next question. Next set of questions come from the Omnitron12345, who asks, I've heard people claim that Marvel should have the Transformers again and incorporate them into the cinematic universe. What do I think of that? That would be a pretty bad idea, because we've already got enough, and I think the Transformers are pretty good in their own universe. I think that, someone needs to reboot that universe, but still, I think Transformers are better off in their own universe without needing, to go to go suck on Marvel's teat. Anyway. Alright, your next question is, DC almost did a crossover of Transformers. But they didn't happen due to the DC 52 happening. If they did do it, how would you see the story go? Well, I know the big endgame was have the Anti-Monitor and Unicron as the big villains. Yeah, the Unicron and the Anti-Monitor were going to be the big villains. So maybe kind of work on that idea, work around that aspect again. I think that would be really cool to do something like that. I don't know how exactly the story would go, but yeah. Anyway. Alright, your next question is... could you make... Okay. Your final question is, could you make a Transformers version of the Avengers? Who would be on it? Okay, Grimlock would be the Hulk, Optimus Prime is Captain America, Flare-Up as for Hawkeye, or Hot Rod as Hawkeye, and RC is Black Widow, Sunstreaker is the Iron Man, and for Thor, I'd have to go with maybe, who would be the Thor of this group? Who would be this team's Thor? That is the question. Maybe, Ironhide? I can't really think of anyone else, sadly. So there you go. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Omnitron. The final set of questions come from Zach the Thunder King, who asks, I want to get into more of some of the more Transformers comic, and the only ones I have are More Than Meets the Eye series. What other Transformers comics would you recommend? I would recommend, if you want to get into the IDW Transformer comics, go all the way to the beginning, to Infiltration, and go on from there, from all the little mini-series, and from that point. Among other things, I would say go out and check out the IDW reprints of the Marvel comics. Those are really good. The Marvel reprints are always really awesome. And, what else? From that point on, from Transformers Infiltration, I'd also recommend checking out the Transformers War Within comics. I think those are really good too. But yeah, those are the ones I'd recommend. And your second question is, what do you think would be the funniest? What did you think was the funniest moment in any Transformers animated series? What is the funniest moment in any Transformers animated series? That is a good question. That is a very interesting question. I would have to say, I'd have to say something along the lines of, I don't know, like, there have been some funny moments, I just can't think of them right off. Whenever Starscream from Transformers Prime is begging to himself or talking about how awesome he is and they get hit like a bitch, that's always fun. Knockout was also had a ton of laughs. I can't really think of anything in specific, but those are a few things to detail. Anyway, and your final question is, if you were a Transformer, which side would you choose, and what would be your vehicle mode? Okay, I'd be a Decepticon, and my ult mode would be V-22 Osprey. There you go. Vertical taking off plane. There you go. Or a gunship. Maybe a gunship. That would be pretty cool. Or maybe even a submarine. We don't get I don't think there's any Transformers that have a submarine form. Let's do something like that. Anyway, so yeah, just give me a quick look through all the. Missed one. I think there's a few in here that I still got a few more to go, so give me a moment to look for the other questions. Okay, so Marvel and DC 379. First question is, what are your likes and dislikes about the Bayformer movie? So let me just talk about the likes, because there's too many dislikes to talk about. I like the music, the score from the instrumental scores from Transformers are always good. Visuals at some points are good. Some of them have been really shitty. I mean, the first movie had some really good visuals. And yeah, that's really all I can think of. Your second question is, who are your favorite Autobot and Decepticon characters? I've already answered this one. And I've already answered question number 3. So sorry, Marvel and DC. I just like I said, I don't. That's one of the 2 rules, is that I don't answer the same question if it's a repeat. So, but I do thank you for the questions regardless. And let's move on now to Atomizer. Atomizer asks, favorite IDW character? Mine as well, Atomizer. I think my favorite IDW character from the Transformers comic is Drift. I think his story of being a former Decepticon lieutenant and then becoming an Autobot was really cool, and I love the whole story from then on. Also, Windblade's pretty awesome as well. If you could be any Transformer, what color, faction, and ult mode would you be? If I could, I've already talked about this one, about being a Transformer, so I'm going to have to skip this question. Next question you had is, what do you think is a superior sub-faction in the Transformers lore? Wreckers, Headmasters, DJD, or the Triple Changers and Six Changers? Well, there's only one Six Changer, and his name is Six Shot. I think my favorite subgroups are the Dinobots, the Wreckers. Kind of already answered this already, but the Triple Changers are really cool too. Anyway, so moving right along to the to see if I've here's another question here's another question, and our next question comes from Thaddeus Manning, who asks, have you read any of the G.I. Joe Transformers comic, and if so, which one was your favorite? I think my favorite is the first one from Devil's Due, like I said earlier. And I'm answering this one because it's specifically on the G.I. Joe Transformers ones. Although, granted, I did like the ones that Marvel did with the G.I. Joe and Transformers. I really dug those as well. And your second question is, what did you think of the Kids WB Transformers series, Transformers Cybertron, when it aired back in 2005? Cybertron was not that great, but Energon was a lot... Ugh. I think out of the Unicron trilogy, Armada remains my favorite. And your third question is, there's a Transformers Avengers crossover. I have read it, Thaddeus. Not only have I read it, I own it. I've owned that comic. I was so pumped for it. And then I was totally let down. I mean, the art's good, but there are so many mistakes, and everyone's written so out of character. Another blunder is that I think it kind of suffers that it was trying to be in continuity with the IDW Transformers, and if you're a Transformers fan that doesn't read the comics, you're going to be completely confused as to what's going on the Transformers side. I think it would have been a lot better if they just stuck with a out of continuity story. I think they would have done better had they stuck in a out of continuity, just regular G1 universe instead of try to tie it in with the comics themselves. But again, the artwork's good, but they literally make a lot of mistakes. Like when they're naming all the Autobots, they switch up Ratchet and Prowl's names. They even call Prime Prowl at some points. Yeah. And again, all the human characters are very not well done. They're horribly written, and it's very anticlimactic too. Yeah, it's a really cool novelty comic to see the Transformers and Avengers come together. That's really all you can take away from this. But thank you for that question, Thaddeus. The final question comes from Dylan Malone 14, and Dylan Malone 14 asks, "Do you think a Stormhawks Transformers crossover would work? If so, how?" That would be really awesome. Maybe have that before the Transformers ever made it to Earth, they crash landed on Atmos first, and Master Cyclonus takes the Decepticons and reactivates them, and in turn of helping her conquer other worlds, conquer other Terras, in return she would help him, Megatron and the other Decepticons mine for Energon. So that would be the big thing, is that they're and then the Autobots are eventually awakened, and plus, seeing. I think it'd be really cool to have some of the use some of the Transformers, like the Dark Ace riding inside Starscream with Ravis and Snipe inside Thundercracker and Skywarp, and yeah, I think that would be a really epic crossover of seeing the Decepticons and Cyclonians work together and the Autobots and Sky Knights work together. It'd be just a totally awesome crossover. And your second question is, who do you think is the most violent Transformer in history, hero or villain, and why? I think some of the most violent are Rampage from Beast Wars. I think also Six Shot. Six Shot's a pretty savage one as well. And I think Dinobot in his own right was pretty savage, as well as Inferno. So those are a few right there that are some pretty dangerous cons, if you ask me. Anyway. So, your second question is... Oh, wait, that was your second question. Your third question is, if you can remake the Transformers series, new story, new characters, etc., how will you do it? Remake the Transformer movies if I could do it instead of getting a director. I'm going to answer this one because Dylan is asking, how would I do it? How, basically, I would do it myself. So I think what I would do, if I could have any say in the Transformers remake, I think the way I would go is more or less focus less on the humans and more on the Autobots and Decepticons, like it's intended to. I would have human characters in there for sure, but I think I would have the Transformers. In there, as the forefront. You know what I mean? They would totally be the forefront of this new universe, and yeah, I think I would start with. I would have a small number of not so much a small number of Autobots, because I did like the concept of the Autobots being outgunned by Decepticons in the first movie, but they didn't really go much with that, and the Decepticons were kind of all pussies except for Megatron. But I think what I would like to do with it is maybe have just a few Autobots wake up, and Optimus and a few others, while the rest of them are still in stasis in the Ark because they don't have enough. I would have it that they don't have enough Energon to wake up the others. There's only a small amount of supply, so only Optimus, Bumblebee, Ironhide, Drift. Drift I'd have in there, but maybe a few other characters as well, and of course have maybe even Grimlock on it. So 5 or 6 Autobots are the first ones to wake up, and they, from then on, try to wake up the others, while the Decepticons are also having the same problem of, we're awake, so what do? Let's go get some Energon. But I would have it that they have a lot more Energon in the Nemesis, so they can wake up everybody. Or at least a larger number of Decepticons. But however, I'd have it that Megatron is still in stasis because he didn't wake up out of it, and Starscream's kind of like the leader, technically, for a little while. Excuse me. So I'd have something. I would have something like that. that kind of aspect to it, is maybe have maybe have Megatron show up in the middle of the movie, or have him as the sequel villain, and have Starscream as the main villain for the most of the movie, and then Megatron wakes up, blasts Starscream, and, you know, from then on, it's all Megatron from, you know, in the second movie, and who knows, maybe Unicron in the third movie, I don't really know. Not so good with the movie storytelling, guys, not so much. But yeah, anyway, so I think all the questions have been answered. Yep, I think I got them all, but once again, if I missed a question from anyone, that usually means YouTube was being a dick and decided to mark your question as spam or otherwise. So I do apologize once again in case of the event that, you know, your question wasn't answered. But on a whole, once again, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.